The queen of rap just narrowly escaped losing everything. We're talking about $20 million, gone in an instant. Her Hidden Hills mansion, the one she raised her son in, the one she built her empire from, was literally hours away from being seized by the courts and sold off to the highest bidder. And the craziest part? New footage just surfaced that changes everything we thought we knew about this whole situation. What you're about to see has the Barbs in an absolute frenzy. The blogs are scrambling to keep up, and Nicki herself, she's been radio silent while this storm explodes around her. But here's what they're not telling you. This isn't just about a lawsuit. This goes way deeper than a security guard and a backstage altercation. This is about reputation, about power moves in the industry, and about how One Punch 5 years ago almost cost the biggest female rapper of all time her entire home. Stick around, because the receipts we've got today are gonna blow your mind. Before we dive into the new footage that's breaking the internet right now, you need to understand how we got here, because this situation has layers that go back years. And trust me, every single detail matters. Nicki Minaj isn't just any celebrity. She's built an empire worth over $150 million. She's got chart-topping albums, sold-out world tours, endorsement deals with every major brand you can think of, and a fan base so loyal they'll defend her to the death. The Barbs don't play, and at the center of her personal life is her husband, Kenneth Petty, a man who's been controversial since day one. Kenneth Petty and Nicki have history that goes way back to their teenage years in Queens, New York. They reconnected in late 2018, got married quietly in 2019, and had their son, who they call Papa Bear, in 2020. But Kenneth brought baggage. Serious baggage. He's a registered offender with a criminal history that includes a conviction from the 90s. He's done time. He's had legal troubles. And when Nicki married him, the internet went absolutely insane. People questioned her judgment. They said she was making a mistake, but Nicki defended him publicly, said she loved him, said he was a changed man. Now, here's where everything gets complicated. In March 2019, Nicki was on her European tour, riding high off the success of her Queen album. The tour was massive, sold out arenas. Incredible production, and she was performing in Frankfurt, Germany. That's when the incident happened. According to court documents that have now been made public, Kenneth Petty was backstage at the concert. There was a security guard named Thomas Weidenmuller working the event. Allegedly, a fan had breached security and gotten too close to Nicki on stage. Nicki was reportedly furious. She allegedly blamed Weidenmuller for letting it happen, berated him backstage, and that's when Kenneth allegedly got involved. The lawsuit claims that Kenneth Petty punched Thomas Weidenmuller directly in the face with enough force to shatter his jaw. We're not talking about a little scuffle. Medical records show that Weidenmuller required multiple surgeries. He had to have 5 metal plates permanently installed in his jaw just to reconstruct his face. 5 plates. Think about that. The man's jaw was destroyed. He couldn't work for months. He couldn't eat solid food. He was in constant pain. And according to the legal filings, neither Nicki nor Kenneth ever apologized, never reached out, never tried to make it right. Weidenmuller filed a lawsuit in 2020 seeking $750,000 in damages. But here's where it gets messier. Nicki and Kenneth reportedly never responded to the lawsuit properly. They didn't show up to court hearings. They didn't file the right paperwork. They basically ignored it, and when you ignore a lawsuit, especially in federal court, the judge can issue what's called a default judgment. That's exactly what happened. In 2023, the judge ruled in favor of Weidenmuller and awarded him $503,000. But Nicki still didn't pay. Months went by, then a year, still nothing.
I know. What's the goal that you're trying to accomplish today?
We'll be telling the court today that Nicki Minaj has satisfied the judgment.
Of course. Okay. Do you feel like it's wrong that,
We'll see you later.
Anything else you could tell us?
We'll talk later.
Thank you.
So that clip just confirmed what everyone was whispering about behind closed doors. The mansion was literally on the chopping block. But before we get to the dramatic 11th hour resolution, you need to see how close this actually came to complete disaster, because the court documents that leaked last month showed just how serious this situation became. Let's go back to 2020. The lawsuit gets filed. Thomas Weidenmuller's lawyers are aggressive. They've got medical records, they've got witnesses from the concert venue, they've got everything they need. But Nicki's legal team? Reportedly nowhere to be found. Now, some insiders claim that Nicki thought the case would just go away. Maybe she figured it happened in Germany, maybe she thought the guy wouldn't follow through, or maybe her lawyers dropped the ball. Is that we don't know for sure. But what we do know is that by 2023, the judge had enough. A default judgment for over $500,000 was entered against both Nicki Minaj and Kenneth Petty. That means the court officially ruled they owed the money, and if they didn't pay, the security guard's lawyers could start seizing assets. And when you're talking about someone worth $150 million, the biggest asset is obvious, that $20 million Hidden Hills mansion. But wait, because while this legal nightmare was brewing in the background, Nicki's house became the target of something even more sinister: swatting. If you don't know what swatting is, it's when someone makes a fake emergency call to the police, usually claiming there's a shooting or a hostage situation at a celebrity's address. The goal is to get a massive armed police response to show up at the person's home. It's dangerous, it's illegal, and it's been used to terrorize celebrities for years. In July 2023, Nicki's Hidden Hills mansion was swarmed by police after someone called 911 claiming there was an active shooter inside the house. Deputies showed up with guns drawn, helicopters circling overhead, the whole 9 yards. But Nicki and her family weren't even home. The whole thing was a hoax. Then it happened again, and reportedly it happened multiple times throughout 2023 and into 2024. Law enforcement sources told TMZ that they were investigating who was behind these calls, but no arrests were ever made publicly. Now, here's where conspiracy theories started flying. Some people online started connecting the swatting incidents to the lawsuit. Was someone trying to intimidate Nicki? Was this revenge from people connected to the security guard? Or was it just random internet trolls? We don't have answers, but the timing was suspicious. Nicki's house was under siege both legally and literally.
Rapper Nicki Minaj was the apparent target of a swatting call last night at around 7 p.m. The LA County Sheriff's Department received a call claiming an assault with a deadly weapon had occurred at the Grammy winner's Hidden Hills residence. The caller claimed somebody had shot a black female adult, and 2 suspects wearing all black were still on the property. But when deputies arrived at Minaj's residence, there was no evidence of any crime. Now, this is not the first time the rapper has been the target of swatting. In the summer of 2023, there was a false report of child abuse, followed by a false shooting claim 1 month later.
So you just saw how serious these swatting calls got. Police helicopters, armed response teams, the whole production. And this was happening while Nicki was trying to deal with the lawsuit in the background. The stress had to be insane, but the worst was still yet to come. Fast forward to December 2025. By this point, the $500,000 judgment has been sitting unpaid for over 2 years. Interest is accumulating. Biden-Mueller's legal team is getting impatient, so they file a motion with the court asking for permission to force the sale of Nicki's Hidden Hills property. And here's the kicker: the judge agrees. Court documents obtained by multiple outlets confirm that a Los Angeles Superior Court judge signed an order authorizing the forced sale of the mansion to satisfy the debt. This wasn't a threat anymore. This was real. The clock was ticking. The mansion we're talking about isn't just any house. It's an 8-bedroom, 11-bathroom compound in Hidden Hills, one of the most exclusive gated communities in California. Neighbors include the Kardashians, Drake, The Weeknd, every A-lister you can imagine. The property is worth an estimated $20 million, but with the real estate market and the location, it could easily sell for more at auction. But here's the problem: if the court forces a sale, Nicki doesn't get to control the process. The property gets auctioned off, the $500,000 plus legal fees and interest gets paid to Biden-Mueller, and whatever's left over goes to Nicki. But a forced sale almost always means the property sells for way less than market value, so Nicki could lose millions. Throughout all of this, Nicki was weirdly quiet. She wasn't addressing it on social media. She wasn't going on Queen Radio to explain her side. She wasn't doing interviews. And for someone as vocal and combative as Nicki, that silence was deafening. The barbs started panicking. Hashtags like Protect Nicki and Leave Nicki Alone were trending. Conspiracy theories exploded. Some fans claimed the industry was trying to destroy her because she's too independent. Others said it was a coordinated attack by people who hate her husband. Some even claimed it was connected to her political comments or her refusal to get certain medical procedures during the pandemic era. But behind the scenes, sources close to Nicki said she was dealing with it privately. Her legal team was reportedly scrambling to negotiate with Biden-Mueller's lawyers. But but negotiations were reportedly going nowhere. The security guard wanted his money, and he wanted it now.
Nicki Minaj is once again making headlines, and once again, it's not for music. The superstar rapper has narrowly avoided being forced to sell her $20 million Hidden Hills mansion, but the fallout from the case is far from over. Now the attorney on the other side of the lawsuit is going public, branding Minaj's behavior cruel and hypocritical, accusing her of dodging responsibility for years while using her platform to attack marginalized communities. So, what actually happened? Why was her mansion nearly put on the auction block? And why is this legal battle reigniting backlash against Minaj right now?
That clip right there shows you just how close we came to seeing Nicki lose everything. But the story doesn't end there, because what happened next shocked everybody. In mid-January 2026, just weeks before the mansion was scheduled to be listed for forced sale, something changed. Court records show that a payment was suddenly made, $503,000, plus accumulated interest and legal fees, reportedly totaling over $550,000, was wired to Thomas Weidenmuller's legal team. The debt was satisfied. The forced sale was canceled. Nicki kept her house. But how did this happen so suddenly? Why did Nicki wait until the absolute last second? Multiple sources have theories. Some say Nicki's team was negotiating a settlement and finally reached an agreement. Others claim that Nicki was making a point, showing that she wouldn't be bullied into paying early. And some insiders suggest that there were behind-the-scenes legal maneuvers happening that we don't know about yet. What we do know for certain is that the lawyer representing Weidenmuller confirmed publicly that the judgment was satisfied and that his client was happy with the resolution. Now let's talk about Kenneth, because he's been at the center of all of this drama, and his legal troubles didn't end with the security guard lawsuit. In 2021, Kenneth pleaded guilty to failing to register as an offender in California after moving from New York. He was sentenced to 3 years probation and a year of home confinement. That means he was literally stuck in the Hidden Hills mansion wearing an ankle monitor while this whole lawsuit situation was unfolding. So not only was Nicki fighting to keep the house, but her husband was legally required to stay there. Kenneth has also faced other accusations over the years, including a separate lawsuit from a woman who claims she was victimized by him decades ago. Nicki has defended him through everything, but the constant legal battles have taken a toll. Fans have begged her to leave him. Critics have said she's enabling bad behavior, but Nicki has stood by him, repeatedly saying that people deserve second chances and that the media is unfair to her family. Those medical details are brutal. 5 metal plates in your jaw permanently? That's life-changing. And it explains why the court took this so seriously and why Weidenmuller pushed so hard for justice. Let's get into the hard receipts, because the court documents in this case tell a story that's even more detailed than what the media has been reporting. According to filings obtained by multiple outlets, Thomas Weidenmuller's injuries were extensive. He suffered a fractured mandible, which is the technical term for a broken jaw, but it wasn't just a simple break. The fracture was severe enough that it required 2 separate surgeries in Germany immediately following the incident. Then, because the initial surgeries didn't fully repair the damage, he had to undergo additional procedures in the United States. The medical bills alone were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. He couldn't work as a security professional for over a year because he couldn't physically handle the demands of the job. The lawsuit also included testimony from other security personnel who were working the concert that night. According to their statements, they witnessed Kenneth Petty approach Weidenmuller in a backstage hallway. There was allegedly a brief verbal exchange, and then Kenneth reportedly threw a punch without warning. Weidenmuller went down immediately. Witnesses said there was blood everywhere. Paramedics were called, but by the time they arrived, Kenneth and Nicki had reportedly left the venue. German authorities issued a warrant for Kenneth's arrest, but because he returned to the United States immediately, extradition became complicated. Germany requested that Kenneth be sent back to face charges, but it never happened. The hip-hop media world has been dissecting this story for months, but it really exploded when the mansion seizure news broke. Joe Budden talked about it on his podcast, saying that Nicki needs better people around her handling her business. He questioned why someone with her level of wealth and resources would let a lawsuit get to the point where her house is on the line. Academics covered it extensively on his streams, breaking down the legal process and showing receipts from court documents. He pointed out that this is a pattern, with Nicki sometimes being great at music but allegedly struggling with the business and legal side of things. The Breakfast Club discussed it on air. Honest, with Charlemagne the God giving Nicki Donkey of the Day for letting the situation escalate so far. He said that paying $500,000 is nothing compared to the embarrassment and stress of potentially losing a $20 million home. Angela Yee was more sympathetic, suggesting that maybe Nicki was dealing with so much behind the scenes that this fell through the cracks.
So far, they have refused to pay this man the money. A Los Angeles judge said today that she is on the brink of ordering the sale of Nicki Minaj's $20 million Hidden Hills mansion so a security guard can collect on the $500,000 default judgment that he won after suing Nicki Minaj and her husband over his alleged backstage assault at a concert in Germany. Y'all remember Nicki Minaj just came off the road? She just was international, just now private jet style. She actually had to go to jump through hoops to get Mr. Petty to be able to travel with her on this trip. And she went like a married woman. She took her husband with her. She took her baby with her.
That clip shows just how real this got. When judges authorize forced property sales, it's not a game. It's the nuclear option in civil litigation. Social media was a war zone. The Barbs, Nicki's fan base, were split down the middle. One faction defended Nicki no matter what, saying the security guard was clout chasing and that the lawsuit was bogus. They pointed out that there's no video footage of the actual punch, and they questioned why it took so long for the lawsuit to be filed if the injuries were so severe. They used hashtags like "We stand with Nicki" and "Nicki Minaj is innocent." But another faction of fans was frustrated with Nicki. They said that even if Kenneth did punch the guy, Nicki should have just paid the money years ago and moved on. Why drag it out? Why risk losing the mansion? Some fans openly criticized Kenneth, saying that Nicki's reputation and career have suffered because of him. Tweets like "Nicki deserves better than this" and "Kenneth is dragging her down" were everywhere. Non-fans and critics had a field day. Nicki has made enemies in the industry over the years, and they all came out to comment. Cardi B fans, Megan Thee Stallion fans, and Latto fans were all over Twitter saying this was karma. They brought up Nicki's past feuds and controversies, saying that her stubbornness and refusal to admit fault finally caught up with her. So now that the judgment is paid and the mansion is safe, what does this mean for Nicki moving forward? Legally, the case with Thomas Weidenmoller is closed. He got his money, his lawyers got paid, and the court has no further claim on Nicki's property. But the damage to her reputation is real. And this story was covered by every major outlet from TMZ to Rolling Stone to Billboard. It's part of her public record now, and for someone who's built her brand on being a boss, on being in control, on being the queen, this looks like a massive L. There are also potential implications for Kenneth. While the civil case is settled, German authorities technically still have that outstanding warrant. If Kenneth ever tries to travel internationally, especially to Europe, he could be arrested. That limits where Nicki can tour with her family, where they can vacation, and how they can live their lives.
And that left him severely injured, has grown tired of waiting around for the rapper to show up to court. They said according to the court documents, Thomas Weidenmoller has demanded that the court award him a default judgment of $742,000 against the Barbie World rapper. They said that Weidenmoller broke down the request as $500,000 for pain and suffering, $200,000 for emotional distress, $21,000 for medical expenses, and thousands more for various other court costs. So as previously reported by Radar Online, Weidenmoller claimed that he worked as a security guard at Nicki Minaj's concert March 22 of 2019 in Germany. So in the lawsuit, Weidenmoller claimed during the show a fan was able to rush the stage while Minaj was performing. The rapper was not pleased with the incident and berated a female security guard after the show, allegedly.
That clip shows how this could have ended so much worse. Default judgments can snowball, and if Nicki hadn't paid, other creditors could have started coming after her assets too. Career-wise, Nicki is still one of the biggest names in rap, but this situation doesn't help. She's been teasing new music for months, talking about a new album potentially dropping in 2026, and she needs a clean rollout. She can't have headlines about lawsuits and mansion seizures competing with her music. The industry is already watching her closely after her recent feuds and controversies. This adds fuel to the narrative that Nicki is messy, that her personal life overshadows her talent. But if history has taught us anything, it's that Nicki is resilient. She survived worse. She bounced back from the Queen album underperforming commercially. She came back strong after the Megan Thee Stallion situation. She's built an entire career on proving doubters wrong. So while this mansion situation was a nightmare, it's likely that Nicki will spin it into motivation. Expect bars about it on the next album. Expect her to address it eventually, probably on Queen Radio or in an interview where she controls the narrative. This case also raises bigger questions about celebrity accountability. When you have enough money to make problems go away, why wouldn't you? Why let a $500,000 lawsuit turn into a mansion seizure situation? Some people argue that Nicki was standing on principle, refusing to be extorted. Others say it was just bad management and poor decision making. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. It also highlights how complicated life becomes when you marry someone with a criminal past. Nicki fell in love with Kenneth and she stood by him through everything, but his actions have consequences that affect her. That punch in Germany 5 years ago almost cost her $20 million. That's a heavy price to pay for someone else's mistake. So there you have it. New footage, new details, and a situation that came way too close to ending in disaster for Nicki Minaj. The mansion is safe, the debt is paid, but the questions remain. Will Nicki address this publicly? Will Kenneth ever face real consequences for his actions? And will the Barbs ever forgive how close we came to losing the Queen's home? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Nicki handled this the right way, or should she have paid up years ago? Let me know. And if you want to stay updated on everything happening with Nicki, with the lawsuit fallout, and with what she does next, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Because trust me, this story is far from over. More receipts are coming, more drama is brewing, and we'll be here to break it all down. I'll catch you in the next one.